Hi, this is Gwen Foster. This video is about potassium and iron, which go together like calcium and magnesium. And it's important to have both because many symptoms are related to calcium, magnesium, iron, and potassium deficiencies. In fact, I would say that out of all the people I talk to, those are the four minerals that are most likely to be deficient. There's many other minerals like selenium and zinc and phosphorus, but they really are less likely to be deficient. I'll talk about those in a separate video because there are some certain conditions that can be related, but I want to talk about potassium and iron. So iron we get from beef. There are not other great food sources of iron. Some people try to say spinach. People don't eat that much spinach. Like they might eat spinach a few times a week, but spinach has way less iron than a steak. And some people that don't eat meat, they really have to supplement iron. The three best sources of non-beef iron have to do with bitter herbs like yellow dog, milk thistle, dandelion, anything bitter, gentian root, or blackstrap molasses, the unsulfured, unpasteurized kind, or spinach. But I don't personally think you can eat enough spinach to satisfy iron, especially if you're a female and you're menstruating, because you're losing blood every month, and spinach, sorry, won't cut it. A lot of times people that have chronic fatigue are just iron deficient. Sometimes when people can't think straight, they're iron deficient. Iron is super important for vitality. I've tried to be a vegan at least 3 times in my life, like seriously vegan, like for 6 months to a year. And what ended up happening was I was just weak and tired. And I was supplementing non-meat types of iron. Well, one time I didn't know better, and it was a long time ago. And then I just was like, after 6 months, okay, forget this. I feel awful. And I'm a blood type O. But the other times I did supplement, and I still couldn't, just felt weak, and I couldn't lift things that I couldn't even lift a box of Intramax, to bring it in the house. I was just like, why am I so tired? And it was because of being vegan. So I don't have anything against being vegan. It's just that you have to supplement properly and give your body what it's not getting, because there really isn't great vegan sources of iron. And I don't really recommend the drugstore irons, which can cause constipation, and a lot of those are made from synthetic stuff anyway. I do recommend that you try to get food-based iron. Okay, the symptoms are fatigue easily, feeling more emotional or crying more often, dizziness, and dizziness can be just dizziness, but especially when standing up, difficulty or labored breathing, like you're walking or you're going up and down stairs and you're just totally out of breath. That can be iron deficiency. A change in vision or hearing, like where the hearing is more dull or the vision is fuzzy. Fault finding or being more critical. Flat fingernails, like the fingernails look flat, especially like on the part that grows out. A fissured tongue, which looks like you have bite marks on your tongue. So if you stick out your tongue and look at the mirror, it'll look like bite marks along the side. Mentally hard to please. And sometimes this kind of cracks me up, because sometimes people say, no, I think I'm not mentally hard to please, and their boyfriend or spouse will go, what? Like, yes, you are. Like they're just, like I said, kind of demanding or critical or gripey or just complaining. Pains in the head, the heels, the soles of the feet, the fingers, or the shoulders. Those can all be iron deficiency. Poor equilibrium, and this can be like loss of balance. So if someone's tripping or falling, that can be iron deficiency. Sleepless at night, but sleepy in the daytime. And anything related to oxygen deficiency. But also I want to say that one misconception about iron is on blood work. I have a lot of people that tell me, oh, my blood work didn't say I was low in iron. Well, for one thing, there's about 9 indicators on blood work, including red blood cell distribution width, hematocrit, hemoglobin, that are all factors pointing towards iron deficiency. And those are usually not even interpreted for iron deficiency. And then there's total iron, and then there's ferritin, and then there's transferrin. Sometimes people will have, like, their total iron will be fine, but the transferrin and the other things are not tested. So sometimes also people can have all the symptoms of iron deficiency. They can even suspect they have iron deficiency. And what will happen is doctor will say, no, your iron's fine, your blood work said fine. But when they do a hair analysis, the hair analysis clearly shows iron deficiency. And this is a person that the blood work said it was okay, but it has to do also with maybe testing the minerals through hair analysis, which I think is actually a better way to test for minerals, but that's just my opinion. Okay, I want to talk about potassium, because iron and potassium go together like calcium and magnesium. You have to take them together, and if one of them is deficient, it's very likely going to cause the other deficiency symptoms. Let me give you an example. If you don't eat meat, beef, not chicken. Chicken doesn't give you iron, fish does not give you iron. I'm talking about beef. If you don't eat beef and you have anemia symptoms, and even if you eat bananas, which are kind of well known for having potassium, you're very likely going to have low potassium symptoms too, because without the iron, the potassium does not work right, and vice versa. If you eat lots of beef, but you don't eat very much things with potassium, or you sweat a lot, or you're just like one of those people that just sweats over anything, like you're doing anything and you're sweating, or you're doing things to purposefully be sweating, like saunas, lots of yard work on a Saturday afternoon in Texas or something like that, you need extra potassium, but that potassium deficiency will cause the iron not to absorb in that nice steak you have Saturday night for dinner. So everything is connected. There's no accidents. It's not like you can just look at one thing and go, well, this is it. I know for me, if I do something where I've sweated a lot, it's almost guaranteed that I'm going to have a toe cramp, like sometime in the evening on the same day, and especially if I didn't hydrate well enough. And I always take like 2 potassium, and in 5 minutes my leg, or it's not really for me a leg cramp ever, it's always like a toe cramp. It's almost like if you point your toe and it becomes like a cramp and it hurts. That for me is also a sign of potassium. So sometimes that can be magnesium and calcium, sometimes it can be potassium. But if it's related to sweating, I would guarantee it's related to potassium. Back in the old days of when I was young, in the 80s, people really in the 70s, kids that played sports were giving salt tablets, and it was salt with potassium, like potassium iodide. And that was something so that kids didn't just like pass out on the football field in summer heat. And I have heard that they don't do that anymore. Like the school can't give those out, but the parents aren't doing it either. So if you have a child in sports and they're in the heat or they're in band or whatever, they should definitely be taking potassium, and salt is super important. And I'm talking about natural salt, like Himalayan salt or Celtic salt. Okay, so the potassium symptoms can be, again, the muscle cramps, a stomach acid issues, a bitter taste in the mouth, constipation, constriction of the urethra, which means someone doesn't have like a full urination, like they have like a partial urination, or they feel like after they urinate they have to urinate again. Dropsy, distension or distress of the stomach of any way, dry throat, dry feet or hands, and eczema on the feet and hands. So if you have eczema specifically on the feet and hands, it's probably a potassium deficiency. Headaches that are back here, so in the lower back of the head, this is a potassium symptom. Inability to digest sugar, so this can be insulin resistance, diabetes, hypoglycemia. Itchy, dry skin anywhere on the body. Any signs, like basically on lab work is how you would know of impaired liver or kidney function. Symptoms of low-grade infections, muscle weakness, gum disease, swelling of the ankles. This is a common one because potassium has a huge effect on the kidneys. I'll go into that in a minute. Any kind of swelling of the ovaries or testicles. This could also look like a prostate issue. A tendency towards blistering, water retention, which water retention, if you were to press on your skin, it appears to be puffy and it leaves like a little indentation that takes a second to bounce back. That's definitely a sign of edema. And then weakness of the female organs or weak ligaments, like in the wrist or of the ankles. The contradiction about potassium is also related to renal failure and kidney disease. A lot of times with heart medications, people are given diuretics, which are very stressful to the kidneys. But also what happens with potassium is the kidney diets a lot of times are very low in potassium, which is actually making things worse. I'm not saying don't do it, because you should consult with your doctor, but if you don't have potassium, you're actually long-term affecting and hurting your kidneys. So it's like a cat chasing his tail with a kidney diet that's like pre-renal failure, because you're almost making that happen sooner by not consuming foods with potassium. You have to do your own research on that, but I would say look into that, because also heart medications are very much putting stress on the kidneys, and that should be supported, especially with hydration. And a lot of times people don't know better. You know, they're drinking a pot of coffee, they're drinking a few sodas, a few iced teas a day. They're not hydrating water, and that's putting a huge amount of stress on the kidneys. So the kidneys are really need support. None of us want to grow old and spend our time in a dialysis clinic. I can definitely assure you of that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and please like and subscribe.